Good morning, my YouTube family. Thank you once again for coming back to look at another video. This video, and I'm going to do a series on this, is about the world we live in is demonic. It's all about money, guys. Either you have it or you don't. The topic for today's video is family services, social workers, case workers, and foster care. Let's get into this video, guys. When my son was around 10 years old, I come home from work one evening. He wasn't there. As the evening went on, he still wasn't home. So at a certain time, I called the police to report my son missing. My son, he would go to his friend's house and different things, and he would stay gone for a day or two because he wanted to play video games. And when I moved to Atlanta, I wouldn't allow him to bring his video game with him because I was more focused on education and not games. I would call the police so much. At one time they told me, "Ma'am, you don't need to keep calling us. If you can't control your child, that's not our problem. So don't call us no more." But see, my mind thought, if my child is missing, if my child doesn't come home and I don't call them, and then he come up dead or something, who are they going to blame? They're going to blame me. You mean to tell me your child wasn't at home? Your child has been missing since such and such, and you didn't call the police at all? See, the statement of them telling me don't call them anymore could have went two ways. And we all know that if I had not called them when my child wasn't at home, when my child was missing and something happened to them, we know exactly what would have happened. We know this. But anyway, I called them that night, gave them my name and everything, and they said, "Hold on." Yeah, the dispatcher told me to hold on. She came back on the phone and she says, "Give me just a moment, let me transfer you." She transferred me to someone and they told me, "Ma'am, someone will contact you in the morning concerning your son." I said, "Excuse me, what? Do you all know where my child is? Can you tell me something?" "Ma'am, someone will contact you tomorrow concerning your son." And I says, "You can't tell me anything." "Ma'am, somebody will contact you tomorrow concerning your son." I got a call that morning from somebody at Family Services, and she's telling me that my child is in Family Services care. And I says, "Why?" I don't really remember what this woman said. I just remember what I said. And when I'm stressed, which I had been all night long, when you don't know where your child is and somebody just tell you somebody gonna contact you in the morning, I said, I just took a pay cut to be at home with my son in the evening. And now this happens? Are you serious? She took that one statement that I said to her, and used it against me. Went into court and said I was like a drill sergeant over my son. But what did I just say earlier? I was told, don't call anymore. If you can't control your child, that's none of our business. Don't call us anymore. But now, in the court, I was being labeled as a drill sergeant over my son. Now, I'm going to tell you guys something. Children don't come with handbooks. We as parents feel like we're doing the best we can do. We feel like we are trying to raise these innocent minds the best way we can. Now, I experienced a lot of abuse as a child from several different people. If you looked at some of the videos on this channel, you already know that. So for me to sit here and say I was the perfect mother, I would be lying. There were times that I felt like I was doing what I should as a parent to raise my son. And there were times that I know, because I was stressed because of something that was going on in my life, I know I took it out on my son. I'm just going to keep it real. But when family services take your child and they try to keep your child, and let me just explain to some parents who may be going through this right now. If family services has your child and family services has told you that your child is going to be in foster care 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, and there's nothing you can do about it, that's a lie. Because when your child is taken by family services, they are supposed to be released to a relative or a friend who will take that child in until whatever's going on case-wise is over. Yeah, that is what is supposed to happen. I don't care where you live. I don't care where you're at. I don't care where your friend live, where the family members live. I don't care. But let me tell you what's going on, or what went on in my case. When I was told that my son was going to be in their care for 18 months, I said, no. I want him released to his dad. And she says, well, where is his dad at? I said, my husband lives in St. Louis, Missouri. She says, oh no, we can't allow that child to be released to his dad. I says, why not? She said, because he lives across state line. I said, what does that have to do with anything? That's his dad. Being in another state has nothing to do with it. But this is what I was told. I called my husband and I told him, look, I have a hearing coming up. They're telling me that he's going to be in foster care for 18 months. I need you to get here because I know better. You know what my husband told me? He said he had been called and advised not to come to the hearing if I called him because it was going to be a waste of time. I said, excuse me, who called you? He said it was some social worker. I says, really? I says, oh, okay. I know what she's doing or what she's trying to do because she thinks I'm stupid. I told him, I don't care what that woman told you. You better be here for this hearing. Otherwise, they're going to keep our child in somebody's foster care for 18 months. And let me tell you what she's doing. She is trying to make sure a family member or a friend gets paid for 18 months. And I told him, you know I used to work for the state. I worked for the state of Missouri for 10 years. Although I worked for employment security, they had me in social services building for about 3 years. I heard things. And I told my husband, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep our child in the system so somebody can get a paycheck. I told him, you better be here for this hearing. Otherwise, all hell is going to break loose. My husband, he came to the hearing. Get off the elevator. It's me, him, and my lawyer. The social worker, she greets us, and she looks at my husband. She said, who are you? And he says, I'm her husband. I'm Paris' dad. Mister, I thought I called you and told you it would be a waste of time for you to come. He says, yeah, I know, but my wife told me I better get here otherwise. When the hearing started, I wasn't allowed to go into the hearing, but my husband and the lawyer was. About 15 minutes later, they came out. My son is walking with his dad coming down the hall. And here goes this social worker. She's running. She's running. He's running to me to tell me, this has never happened. This has never happened. I don't know how this happened. This is, pretty much a miracle that the judge would let your child go with his dad across state lines. I dropped a bomb on her that day. And I know I did. Because let me tell you what happened. I told her, I said, you a lie. You are a lie. What do you mean I'm a lie? I says, oh, it's something that I forgot to tell you. And she said, what is that? I said, I worked for the state of Missouri for 10 years. I was young, guys. I left the state of Missouri at 31 and moved to Atlanta. She had no way of knowing that I had 10 years under my belt. And when I said that I worked for the state of Missouri for 10 years, this woman started turning red. And I told her, I says, at least 4 of those 10 years, I worked in family services building. And on my break, whenever I took my breaks, I would be outside and I would hear these social workers talking about how they gonna keep this child for as long as they can so they friend can get money to buy a brand new car. And it ain't nothing a parent can do about it. I heard all kind of things. That's just the tip of it. And I told her, I know that a child is supposed to be released to a family member first before they decide to keep this child. The only time that they can keep a child in custody, I call it custody because that's what it is. The only time they can keep a child is if they can't find a family member or a friend to take that child. But like I said, it's all about money. It's all about money. So if they can keep a child and you don't know that they have to release that child to a family member, they do. So when I told this woman that I knew that's the reason why you called my husband and told him not to show up. That's the reason you were standing out here this morning, and when you realized he showed up anyway, you tried to say, but I told you, you didn't have to come. It's a waste of time. I said, because you knew you were going to go in that courtroom and my child was going to be released to his dad. You knew that. You just didn't think I knew it. That's the reason why you didn't rush your little tail down this hallway trying to explain to me this has never happened. When I tell you, by the time I got through with that, she was red as the red crayon. She had the look on her face that if I had known that, I would have played this a little different. I purposely didn't tell her. When she was trying to tell me that my child was going to stay in foster care for 18 months, I didn't tell her that I knew better. When I said why, how come he can't go with his dad? I wanted to let it play out to see if I was right. And I was right, guys. They are trying to keep your child so somebody can get paid. Guys, everything is about money. And if your kids have been taken by family services and they are in the care of a social worker, you have no idea what type of person is holding on to your child. Because the first person they put my son with, he said that this woman would lock him and another little boy in the basement, and she would go shopping. After she got a couple of checks, she said she couldn't take care of him anymore because he was too much for her to handle. So they sent him to somebody else. This woman was supposed to have put my child in school where she was. She did not. When he got to the second foster family, and they were a family, it's a husband and a wife, they called me. They said he was so filthy and so funky. The clothes that he had on when they took him was the same clothes he had on 2 months later when they got him. They told me that he told them that that woman never let him take a bath, a shower, never let him change clothes. He slept in those clothes from the time she took him. They said that his clothes and his underwear were so filthy and so funky when they got him, they threw him in the trash. I had not seen my child at all when he was with that first woman. They kept giving me excuse after excuse as to why I could not see my son. I guess that's why. When that second couple called me and they talked to me and they told me, we're going to let you talk to him because he wants to talk to you. But please don't tell anyone that we did this because we're not supposed to do this. I talked to my son. I was literally in tears after what they had told me. I was able to start seeing my son, I think at least every 2 weeks when the second couple had him. And you know, we ended up getting our son back. I thank God that I had worked for the state of Missouri and I knew what they were trying to do was illegal. If you know someone whose child is in state custody, I said custody again, and they have not seen their child, and that child has been gone for a while, and that parent is doing everything that they're supposed to do, take parenting classes, go to whatever class that they're supposed to, jumping through all of these hoops that the state is making them jump through to get their kids back. Please share this video with them. If their child has been gone for a while and they were not given the option for their child to be given to a family member or to a friend, please share this video with them. Thank you so much for listening to another video of mine. We have got to stay in prayer and break the demonic spirit of money that's controlling the whole world. And you have to ask yourself, how did this law come about where family services can just take your child and there's nothing you can do about it? How did that start? Because of money, guys. Be blessed.